What's up, YouTube? It's Nth-Dimensional, your exploration expert, and today we are going to be talking about how you can identify where K-space wormholes lead just by looking at them. Before we start, I do want to go over two important things. The first being is that as an EVE partner, we are going to be giving out a Scope Syndication Vedmak skin for anyone who comments down in this video below. And it's going to be a random draw. We'll do it in about a week. Go ahead and comment down below, and you could win that Scope Syndication Vedmak skin. And the second thing is that if you guys enjoy this video, get any value out of it, do please consider hitting that like, comment, subscribe, do all that good stuff. It brings me a whole lot of joy, and it lets me know that you guys are appreciating and enjoying these videos. So, with that out of the way, as we hinted out in the intro, is that it is actually possible for you to look at a wormhole and know the exact region that you're going to be landing in. And by following these techniques that we're going to lay it out for you, you'll be able to do this. So, to start out, we'll be showing the technique that you need to do in order to nail down the region the wormhole leads. And then after that, we're going to be taking a look at the skyboxes and nebulas of EVE Online, and that will give you a good idea about, the vast realm of New Eden and what is possible to see there. And then lastly, and this is kind of the bulk of the video, the big treat for you guys, is that I've documented the skybox and a wormhole leading to that region for every region in New Eden. So it's quite a big chunk, but I think it's a really great resource for you guys, and I really do hope that you enjoy it. So with that path ahead of us, let's go ahead and jump into the game and see how to pull this off. Alrighty, so here we are in space, and we are at a wormhole. And the first thing that we want to do for this technique is actually bring up our tactical overlay. I use Control D to bring this up, but you can also go to your bottom HUD area and bring it up down here. And once you have our tactical overlay up, we're going to look at this north orange line. So this is going to be important. Space is kind of oriented in north, south, east, west. So here you have north, east, south, and west. And now that we know that, we can go ahead and look at this wormhole. And instead of looking north into the wormhole, we're actually going to look south into the wormhole. The reason this is important is because the nebulas and the skyboxes are actually flipped over on their head. So when you're looking into them, south is north and top is bottom. The top and bottom isn't very important to know, but the south and north is quite handy. So now that we're looking into the wormhole in a northward facing direction, we can go ahead and spin the camera around the wormhole and notate any nebulas that we see, so any of these colorful star systems, as well as like how big they are. So you can see this big teal streak, and then you can also to the right here see this kind of greenish blob. And then we continue to do a circle around the wormhole, and you can kind of see that it's more or less a ring here, this nebula, which if you know your nebulas, you might already have a good idea where this is going to lead. But that's what we're going to get into the next part, is that now that we see this wormhole and what's inside of it, we're going to go talk about what the nebulas are, what you might see, and where you might see them. So another little pro tip for you is that if you show info on a wormhole, it will tell you what security of space that you're going to land in. In this case, it does say nullsec, but there are also cases where you might see a high sec or a low sec, and then that will also let you pinpoint in a specific region the high sec or low sec areas in it. So you can actually get like within a few jumps accuracy using this method, which is quite cool when it works out. All right, so now that we know exactly how to do the technique, let's talk about getting good at it. Getting good at it is essentially just knowing the nebulas, where they are, what they look like, and where they can show up. So let's do a quick little overview of what the nebulas are that you can see. And with enough memorization and seeing them, you'll get this down pretty easily. It's not too terribly difficult. First up, we have the Jove region. So this is up here. It's a pretty distinct looking nebula, and it's always going to let you know that you're in the very top or northern area of New Eden. Next is we have Cloud Ring, and that's actually what we saw in the previous clip, is that it was actually in Cloud Ring, so we saw all the way around it. But the thing with Cloud Ring is that you can see from the north of it, to the east of it, and to the south of it. So lots of angles into Cloud Ring. And so it's one that you see kind of fairly often. Moving on, we have the mighty Caldari Nebula. This is this nice bluish steel color. When you see this, especially when you see a high sec hole or a low sec hole, you know that you're going to be in this region, and that it's one of the more favorable holes generally to be finding, because it usually means that you're near Jita. So that's something that a lot of people look forward to. Next, we have the Gallente hole. It's the second Empire Nebula, and it's a bronzy green color usually. You can see at least part of this nebula in a lot of regions, such as the cloud ring that we were just around. So it's one that you start to get pretty familiar with, and that you're going to be seeing a good amount. After that, we have the Minmatarian red, and this is for the empires. You have Molten Heath, Metropolis, and Hematar, and all of those skyboxes do look fairly similar, but generally if you're looking for that area, it's going to be about the same. One thing to note is that I personally get the C6 skybox confused with the Metropolis skybox, so do be on the lookout if the wormhole is a C6 or a known space connection there. And then speaking of red nebula, we have number 6, the Ginnungwap. It's a notable nebula in New Eden. It kind of looks like an hourglass to me, and it in fact is a huge black hole that has sucked up all the nearby star systems. Little fun fact. And then we have number 7. So number 7 doesn't, to my knowledge, have any name, so I've gone ahead and taken the liberty and called it the Cobalt Cloud. There's Cobalt Edge up here. It's got this nice cobalt color, so I went with it. It's up to you to decide if that's what you want to go with as well. So something to know is that if you see this cloud, then you know that you are going to be in the drone lands. So it is a very centralized drone lands nebula, so that you know whenever you see it, it's going to be the drone lands. And then moving on, we have the Cauldron. Probably one of the most interesting nebulas here is the Cauldron. It's over on the far west side of the map. And then it is the remnants of several supernovas rendered the space unusable and treacherous. It's filled with volatile gravity currents and large chunks of stellar debris. The whole area is much too dangerous for space travel. Cauldron lies between the Amar and the Khanid empires, and acts as a convenient natural barrier between the two hostile factions. Depending on where you are on this thing, it can look quite different. You can pretty much be inside of it, or you can be all around it, and it does look very different compared to all of the other nebulas, I would say. So it's good to kind of have an idea of what it looks like and where you might be able to see it. Moving on, we have the Amar, the last of the Empire nebulas. It's, it's that golden color. If you see an Amar hole, you pretty much know that it's an Amar hole. And then we have the next nebula, which has no name. I've gone ahead and called it the Scalding Skies. So it is centralized in Scalding Pass. It's kind of this tendrically looking nebula. It's actually one of my favorite looking nebulas. And if you do see it, it means that you are very likely going to be kind of in that Great Wildlands, Wicked Creek area, the Angels space. But you can also see kind of flashes of it from maybe further out regions as well. And then we move on to number 11, the Vapor Sea. So maybe one of the coolest nebulas. The Vapor Sea is in the far south. It looks like a swirling galaxy star. So being so far south, it does kind of act as like the opposite of the Jove Nebula. If you see this, then it means that you are going to be in the southern areas. And something that's interesting about this is that you actually see it from Quirius, Delve, Period Bases, Stain, Esoteria, and Paragon Sol as kind of their main nebula. So it can actually be a little bit confusing to differentiate those systems, just because there isn't really anything further south. But you do see it in a lot of different systems, so it's good to be familiar with. And then kind of the main thing that I use about it is like if it's to the east or the west, to kind of determine if I'm over on the east or west. And then lastly, we have number 12, the last no-name nebula. I've gone ahead and called it Teal Tenerifes. So it's very snuggled in this bottom right-hand corner. You usually don't see it, but I think it has a lovely bluish greenish color. And it's actually one of my favorite looking color-wise nebulas. So it's always a treat that I do get to see it. But when you do see it, you do know that you are quite far out in nullsec territory because it is situated so far to the bottom right. If you have made it this far into the video, thank you guys so much. I hope you're enjoying it. Again, if you are getting value out of it, like, comment, subscribe. And next, we have kind of the biggest treat for you is the database, we'll call it. So we're going to move on, and it's just going to be a bunch of pictures of skyboxes and then their corresponding videos of the wormholes, what they look like, so that you get visual representation of everything that you're looking for. I have also gone ahead and bookmarked it for you, so it's easier to navigate through. So I do hope you enjoy it, and happy trails. Enjoy. All right, so that's it, right? Thank you so much for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Great pleasure and honor for you. If you did, go ahead and give me a comment what your favorite part of the video was. You could always win that scope syndication skin. And go ahead and let me know what you want me to cover next as well, and I will definitely take that into consideration. And if you're curious, we do also stream on Twitch every weekday, generally exploration-based content, so I hope to see you over there. And other than that, have a great day, enjoy, and ciao for now. Bye-bye.